All right, good Saturday morning, everybody. Wall Street Jesus here. We got the Saturday Sweep Series once again. We're heading in to almost July here. So we are officially in the summer doldrums, as they like to call it. But interestingly enough, and this is why you can call me a degenerate, you can call me addicted, you can call me whatever the hell you want, but this is why I find it hard to leave my desk, even in the summer days. I mean, you can expect sessions to be quiet. There could be nothing going on, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, when you least expect it, sweepers come in, start sweeping call side. Flow gets hot, and there's some interesting opportunities. And you know, this is something we spoke about last week in the steam room. You hear, I love these popular sayings, and from so-called experienced traders. The volume's abysmal. Summer real traders don't trade summer Fridays. You get all that nonsense. But in reality, we're traders. Okay, we're not moving blocks like institutions are. The volume is just an excuse for you not to find an opportunity to make money, in my opinion. Okay, unless you're moving a couple 100,000 share blocks of equity and you need that volume to sell into, that should never be an excuse. All right, and not to say you should force and make try to force an opportunity out of nothing. But this market, I've been in this game long enough. There are always opportunities. Things may slow down in the summer, but there are always setups and opportunities where you could find a way to make money. Uh, and the name of the game is to stick around, wait for them to show up, and when they do, be ready to hit. So we finished the week, and you guys probably heard me say this on Twitter, or those of you who are members of the Steam Room. Thursday and Friday was very interesting. What we actually saw in the overall market was not much, okay? And the reason for it, there was some selling that actually came in late in the day. They were blaming the Russell rebalancing and all that stuff. But some strength intraday. So you had an opportunity to get in whether the market was red into some names that were weak to flat. You guys know me. I hate to chase green, especially late in a rally. In other words, late afternoon or market already raged. In my book, there's not too many opportunities, especially as a day trader, So, but the beauty of late last week was you had that opportunity early morning where the market wasn't doing much, was down a bit or flat, a lot of names flat. And more importantly, the stuff that I pay attention to, I mean, the only reason I buy any stock is there was aggressive activity coming into quite a different number of names. Okay, before we even got this started, I was talking to a couple of you. Biotech was incredible. All right, and that's my point. Like, you could use the excuse that, it's the summer doldrums and no volume. But if you were waiting for this biotech rally, and biotech something you really like to play, I mean, there was a huge opportunity, huge. Okay, whether you were early, whether you were late, this type of move, yeah, there were some quick, easy winners. Day trading, swing trading in the biotech sector, and that has nothing to do with the overall market, the summer, the volume, or any of that crap. All right, so it's just the point I'm making that people find an excuse on these popular slogans they like to throw out there. But biotech was one of the groups. We'll go over a couple names there. I know a lot of you guys like to play it. As I mentioned, I'm not a big biotech guy because I'm more on the equity side. They are dangerous, to say the least. But even as a day trader, you're looking to get in, get out, see a decent move or a quick, short amount of time in this heat. That's when you want to strike. And tech was also, that's where the majority of money I made at the end of the week was in tech. I don't know if I even played any biotech. I can't remember, but the majority of stuff I played was in the tech sector. We'll rattle through a bunch of names there. from big FANG names to what I like to call the underbelly of the tech sector. And when they start to hit the underbelly of the tech sector, things can get fun. That's when you have a market not really doing too much, but underneath the hood, there's some big time movers and beautiful setups. So we'll go over some of that stuff as well. All right, and just to quickly throw out there, no, for the most part, a lot of you guys have been here, and I appreciate it over the weeks. We've been doing the Saturday Sweep series for several weeks now. You can get all the information as far as the strategy, the approach I take, as well as members. You go to wallstreetjesus.com. Okay, you can access any information on there as far as what type of strategy we use, definitions of strategy. You can go to this strategy tab right here, and you'll get a bunch of information. Okay, some of you, I don't know how by now if you've been following me, but some of you may not be familiar with a sweep. Sweepers, as I like to call them, that's the bread and butter of what I pay attention to on a day-to-day basis. So a better explanation, a little more in-depth explanation of what type of strategy we use here. In simple English, where we focus on aggressive activity in the options market. All right, so in other words, when the professionals are looking to either A, speculate via options or looking to build size positions. We see that many times where the order flow will end up translating into some activist getting involved via the Elliott management or something like that. Doesn't happen as often as we would like, but we do see that a lot. So basically that's what we try to focus on, okay? I get this a lot. For example, this calls and puts being bought all day long, okay? There could be size volume, there could be just a ton of volume accumulating in a name throughout the day. That doesn't mean anything to me. I focus on patterns, okay? What we focus on is patterns. In other words, one put buyer really doesn't tell me much, but several put buyers aggressively coming after a name tells me a lot more. Okay, so a lot of times you guys will throw a name at me and say, oh, so-and-so caught activity. Yeah, there may have been flow there. There's flow in a lot of names throughout the day, but may not be the type of activity that I'm looking to focus on. Okay, and there's a difference. There's a big difference. Okay, and sweepers are, I guess, the plain vanilla way to understand of what I'm looking at. That's an aggressive type of order that professionals use to get involved in options, to buy calls in certain names. That's primarily what I'm looking for. But a simple explanation would be a pattern of buying. Okay, when you see a call buyer come into a name, okay, that can get your attention on that name. But if you see them continuously coming aggressively buying calls in that name, that's a lot different. And that creates an opportunity for us, so that's what I focus on. But again, I don't want to take too much of the time today because a lot of you have been here, already know all this. You could go to wallstreetjesus.com, you get all of this information. You can also access this market update. This is our free community. No credit card, no trial. You'll have access to pre and post market stuff that I post, sentiment, order flow, top sweepers. Kind of looks like this. Let me see if I can get it quickly here. Where is it? Oh, it's here. Hold on. Okay, so basically, you're going to have access to this lounge for free. All right, bunch of traders in here. Lucci pops in here, talks about what he's trading from time to time. You're not going to get the alerts, okay, but you'll also have access to the market update section, and that's where I post pre-post market, open interest, changes, top action. Sometimes I'll highlight names, put the call, stuff like that. Free. Again, so you go to wallstreetjesus.com, market updates, and you'll be able to access that. All right, so let's get into some of the action here, and I'll utilize. Hold on, let me get rid of this. I'll utilize the market update section to focus on this stuff. Here we go. All right, so you can see here, usually what I post for members, and a lot of times I'll throw it in after market into the market updates free room as well, are the top orders throughout the day, okay, in my opinion. Based on, again, maybe size, aggressive in nature, several different things. Just in my opinion, orders that caught my eye. Usually, especially, of late, there'll be maybe one page of that. And you can see there's 3 different pages here on supposedly a dead summer. So there was quite a bit of action, just to give you guys an idea. Let's start off with the top of the list. I mentioned to you guys, again, this is Friday's activity, so we'll take the most recent, that the underbelly of tech, for example, is starting to see signs of aggressive buying. And why that's important, initially you'll see action like we saw in Netflix, okay? And you get the setup there, off a pullback, nice trade there, nice entry, blah, blah, blah. Amazon, some of us happen to catch the news, got lucky there. But after that, it's not initial activity anymore. And you've heard me mention, you cannot treat sweepers that come up at higher levels as equally or as heavily weighted as initial activity where action just starts to heat up in the name. Okay, and that makes sense. I'm sure all of you would agree. So what you like to see is after a little pullback, like we had in tech, and that's what I'm talking about, like we had this here, okay, little correction, which is totally normal in the grand scheme of things. They come after a couple of the bigger names, and then what if the flow is showing some signs of strength, they'll start to come into some of the mid-cap, small-cap names. And I'm not talking even small in size, just not the FANG high beta names, okay? A perfect example is this WDC. All right, this has been a name that they've been all over throughout this rally. Those of you who follow me on Twitter, you've heard me, saw me post several times on this name. If you guys are members, you know exactly what I'm talking about. A lot of us had a great trade out of this Friday. So what happened was they treat every single pullback the same in this name. Every time there's a pullback, there'll be some good-looking sweepers that come in. Sometimes they'll may be early. In other words, they may come in a day or two prior to things leveling out and turning around. They don't care about that. Sometimes they'll have some time attached to it, like we saw a couple of September sweepers in this WDC. I think it was right around here. I can check the search for that. Okay, and then you'll see the action start to heat up as more and more sweepers come in. Okay, so what we saw September sweepers here. Let me see, one of them hit the board. Let me get it while I'm talking to you guys here. Why not? Hold on. And you'll see in this search, this WDC, how hot the action has been here. It's just been ridiculous. All right, let me move this. You guys don't see that. I see that. All right, so here was one of the orders. This is on 6/16. Okay, September 85s. They were in the money and a decent amount of money, 400,000 plus sweeper there into that day. So that was 6/16. There was actually another one a little bit smaller that didn't hit the board. Okay, so that's right here. All right, so that was the first sweep off this little pull. Now, there's sweeper activity all over the place prior to that, but when the name gets extended like this, again, you've heard me mention several times. I know it gets repetitive, but you don't want to buy the highs, okay? You want to buy into a pullback, right? You want to see it come in. You want to see action come in, and that's where you want to look for an entry. You don't want to chase up at the highs. So that was basically the first sweep I don't know if the other one was before it or after it, but it was right around the same time. September's in the money, so the guy wasn't afraid to lay wood. You know, he wasn't speculating on some cheap crap. And that's basically a pattern they've showed in this name several times over and over and over again. So that'll get your eyeballs on this name. If you were looking for an entry off this recent pullback in WDC, that would be the initial spot. Okay. Then what we saw was a couple other smaller orders, and then Friday the flow got hot. There was momentum type action, smaller action that you won't even see on the board here. And here you have June 30th. This is next week. You got a couple decent bets here. This was early morning, okay, when the stock was, this is around 10 o'clock. All right, so this is what we quote as far as a day trade. So we know the setup in WDC already, okay? A lot of us are familiar with this name. We know the wise guys have been killing it in this name. So anytime there's activity that comes into this name, it always gets our attention. And the writing was on the wall here. This thing was looking like it was getting ready to break. Like I mentioned earlier, this thing hasn't even exploded yet, in my opinion, so there could be a lot more upside. Doesn't mean you want to chase it. Again, the name of the game is to buy it on weakness when flow comes in. Okay, that's the best of opportunities. So Friday, the action heated up early, right around 10 o'clock here. I could blow this up. And I know if you're a member of the room, you probably owned this or was following it at the time. But if not, a lot of us jumped all over this. Okay, the action got hot here, and you could see this move. Now, don't even ask me where I ended up selling it. A lot of people got out way too early, but this was just a beauty. Beauty on a dead day, ton of action, the setup there. Now, this is me talking as a day trader. I solely day trade, so I don't have the luxury of swing trading this. So this is the kind of stuff I look for. They don't all end up doing this, obviously, but sometimes you step on some good ones and you can raise a stop. You can see this thing just never pulled back. So you can raise a stop and try to ride it out as long as you like. But this had a fantastic day and probably has more upside. Okay, but again, you don't want to chase up here, okay, after a move like this. And the reason why I say that, even though it may go higher, any little pullback, especially you option players that are playing calls, if you're all in at the top here, any little breather, a lot of you guys get shaken out, you get stopped out. Now you're hoping to break even. It takes some time. You lose time value. You bought on a day where everybody was excited, so you probably got robbed on the premium end. The better opportunities are on breathers or off breathers, especially names that have had a ton of flow like this. Okay, so this is one to always keep an eye on in regards to weakness. So that was the action there. Okay, and that's just one name. You can sense the excitement in my voice. Here's another big one. Didn't do much off this order, but this is September. PANW. I know a lot of you guys have traded the name, know the name. September 140 calls. This is a sweeper. He pays $880. So this is a $1.4 million bet. Aggressive bet on September 140 calls. And this is what this looks like. This came a little after the heat. This name was already up on the day when this order came in. But this is what it looks like setup wise. This thing got whacked, didn't it? Yeah, it got whacked off earnings, and now trying to make that U-turn. So here's the thing, and we're gonna have a problem on days like Friday with this type of stuff, because here's what I mean by that. You got September action here, right? You can see you have a 2-day, possibly 3-day move here where this thing's up 3 days in a row. The right thing is to probably wait for some sort of breather here, right? You do take the risk of this thing running away from you. Okay, so depending on what you are looking for in the name, I think is important. Okay, if you're looking to play off Septembers and you want to give this thing some leash, in other words, you're looking for more than just a quick trade, then you could possibly wait. Okay, or another way to look at it, maybe put on a piece, and if it comes in, you can always add to it. That type of thing. Okay, and the reason why I say it's important to distinguish ahead of time what you're playing with this thing, because if you like the technical setup and you're just looking for a quick trade, in other words, you're looking for a follow through next week, and whatever you get on that follow through, you're going to take off the table, then maybe Friday was a spot for you to put on your position. Okay, but like I said, September, you got the whole summer, you got some time. This thing doesn't have to explode in a straight line higher. There could be some consolidation along the way. So it may be prudent to just initialize a position, wait, or just wait. You know, there's so much action out there, guys, that if you're unsure, and I think this is one of the issues that makes swing trading so hard. If you're unsure, in other words, the name is too extended, and you don't feel comfortable pulling the trigger because it's extended, then just don't do it. Okay, yeah, it's a good-looking order, okay? But there are a ton of good-looking orders throughout the year. You know, it's just one name. So you say to yourself, I'm waiting for a red day. I'm going to wait for a day where this PNW is down 80 cents to a buck. Looks like it's shaking people out. You know, maybe some more downside. You get one of these little shake and bakes, and that's where I'm looking to pull the trigger. I don't see it. I'll spit on it and look at the next. Okay, so again, every trader is different, and that's where you got to have an idea of your plan ahead of time. All right, but again, the big order there on the PANW. CRM, that's another name with a ton of action throughout this rally. Has, believe it or not, gone quiet. Has gone quiet for a bit. Was really hot back here, as you guys know. They started, believe it or not, that's why the circle's up here. They started buying this weakness aggressively. And then the flow was just nonstop all the way up. It actually got quiet, I would say, over the last month or two. And these last 2 days, some signs that the flow's starting to heat up. Personally, I want to see a little more sweeper activity because I know CRM can catch heavy sweeper activity. It's been mostly size blocks, okay, but that's fine. If it's a name you have on your radar, you've been eyeing, and you were waiting for flow to confirm, it confirmed. Okay, that's how I explain to every member how to look at this stuff. Okay, when you look at it as buy-sell signals, and you have to go off that, that's where you get into trouble with anything in this game. All right, the most efficient way I've seen players utilize flow and find success is when they have a setup in mind or have names that they're eyeing for a possible entry, and Wise Guy Action confirms that entry. In other words, professional buying in the option market confirms what they were looking at. And that's what I meant by what I just said. If you were eyeing CRM, you were looking for an entry, you could use that flow to confirm that. Okay. Thursday caught September action. It was a pretty decent sized block. Here it was an August 90 call buyer. A good looking call buyer. Just I know sweepers can really come after this name when they really want it. So that may be coming. It could possibly be coming on its way. What else we got? AMLP. This is part of the two MLP ETFs, okay, that saw some activity recently into the lows. The first one was AMJ. They were a bit early. I think it was right here they started buying. There was another day of weakness, and now you can see starting to turn. Okay, and then the day after they bought this AMJ here, they started to come after this AMLP. They usually, every time they play one, they play the other. So they started buying this AMLP. I think it's actually 3 straight days now, if I'm not mistaken. All right, so these things started to turn. They're tied to energy, but these things got destroyed. Destroyed, this AMJ2. So somebody trying to call bottom in these things maybe ends up a good thing for some of the crew names. Who the hell knows in that group right now? UNP, another name known for a ton of activity. Here you got a sweep of July 108 calls. All right, they pay $325, $1,400, almost a $500,000 bet here in this UNP. Another name that caught a ton of activity post-election. All right, with that, a couple other rails, the CSX, the NSC. So the whole group had a ton of action. Got quiet. Same thing, got quiet recently. There was some leap buying. I think it was June 2018. So some further out buying in UNP. This was the first real sweep that I can remember. All right, so this is, again, this is a rail in the transportation sector. I think the traders were red hot, weren't they, Friday? Yeah, they were off the highs, but they got hot Friday. So again, if you like the group, like the name, looking for an entry, that UNP caught a legitimate sweeper there. Okay, that's one list from Friday. Good old Micron, we all know the story there. Micron has earnings, if I'm not mistaken, coming up. So keep that in mind. Micron's been a champ. You know, had a little pause here with the tech pullback, firmed up, but you do have earnings in the way now. So that kind of throws a monkey wrench into things, unless you're looking to make a play on earnings. But Micron's been an absolute animal since the action really started to heat up right around here, September into the end of the year of last year. So Micron here, there was a couple different sweeps. Here's one of them. July 29.5 calls. You can see their sweep, $400,000 bet. If I'm not mistaken, even caught a bigger one than that. Caught a couple different orders. But again, it could be tied to earnings, so keep that in mind. Here's an interesting name. I actually day traded almost every single one of these things. I didn't day trade Micron, but I day traded almost everything that you're going to see here. SPGI. You'll never see a sweep ever again in this name. I've never seen a sweep. I've seen it in Moody's, MCO, once in a blue moon. So this is S&P Global Ratings Agency. I'm told it's a play on the huge influx of ETF buying that's going on out there. And you could see they're doing something right. Here's the Moody's. I haven't seen action there just to get an idea, so they've both been hot. So this catches an extremely unusual sweep. The good thing is you've had a tremendous run there, but off this recent pullback. Yeah, so this is something you've been eyeing for an entry. This thing's been red hot. You look at them, you know, have some exposure to the ETF craze or whatever the hell it's a play on. You get a little pullback here. Sweeper confirmation. You'll never see that again in this name. And it was a good looking order. I'm not going to lie to you. 2,500 August 150s. They pay $217. They sweep multiple exchanges to get it. So quite aggressive. Over $500,000 in premium. I mean, it's a good looking order. It's a good looking order. Had a nice move too. Had a nice move. I think like almost everything else late in the day sold off. But you can see had a nice move. So that's the SPGI. Steels. God, if I had $1 for how many questions I got over the last couple of weeks on X, I'd be a multi-gazillionaire. But here's a new one that caught some activity. MT, ArcelorMittal, has seen action in the past. Mattel does see some action. Hasn't seen it in a while, but has seen action in the past. Basically, they've played every steel name at this point, every one. The most action has been in the X and the AKS. Nucor saw some activity earlier. I think it was at the beginning of the week last week. This NUE, Nucor. Steel Dynamics caught a big block, just one big block. But, you know, Nucor caught a bunch of different sweepers. X, you guys know, they initially started with August calls, and the action's been hot. X, you know, U.S. Steel could catch a ton of flow. We know that. But the action's been hot in X. All right, and the same thing applies here. Again, the broken record syndrome. You guys heard me say it about this name especially. It's under a ton of selling pressure. We know that, right? You just got to pull up a chart. You know that. It's an extremely choppy name. You do not want to chase these big up days, period, let alone in a name like this. You want to utilize the weakness to your advantage when there's flow in a name. And the reason being, again, you don't want to just utilize weakness in general. I mean, I wouldn't. I mean, the reason why you do it with flow, because the flow is telling you they're going to support that name. Okay, if there's been buying, there's a good chance there's going to be more buying in that name if and then there's any weakness. So, and listen, that doesn't necessarily mean you're always going to be right, but that's besides the point. The point is instead of chasing on these days when all of retail is all junked up and think X is going to go in a straight line to 30, you wait for the shakeout pullbacks. You wait for some selling. You wait for all the guys who are buying here to get stopped out and shaken out. Okay? If you saw flow in this name and you were going to buy it here, nothing changes here. Okay? Again, if the flow's strong enough and you were going to buy it here, nothing changes here. That doesn't necessarily mean your entry here is going to be right, but more than not, you're at least going to have a solid entry and have some cushion on your trade. Okay? If you bought these highs, all this has done nothing for you. If you bought the weakness in the X, you'd be sitting pretty. I know, I mean, a lot of you have traded it. So I'm not preaching to you guys, but I'm just, a lot of newer traders especially like to get all junked up into green when everybody else is getting junked up. But these are the times to be looking to buy it. And here's the thing, too. I just want to make the point. The reason why I say that is X caught sweeper activity throughout this whole thing here, okay? The sweeper activity started here. It didn't start here. It didn't start here. It didn't start here. Okay, it started over here. So you didn't decide to buy it there. Why would you decide to buy it up here? You understand what I'm saying? Wait for a pullback, and if there's that much activity, if you're going to buy it, you buy it there anyway, and you'll likely have more success, especially if you're a trader looking to trade. All right, so I mean, when I'm talking about X, right? I go right into X, the Mittal. Mittal is one of those names caught action. Personally, like I said, steel, they've all caught action. I would probably wait for some sort of breather here. But again, this is just the most recent name to catch some action, MT, in that group. Light. This is an interesting name too. Doesn't catch a ton of sweeper activity, wise guy activity in general. But they started Friday. This was an awesome day trade for me. Had a nice move. So here's the two orders in the light. 362, July 70 calls. They pay $1.55. They swept multiple exchanges for that. And you got 265, call it July 60s. They pay $6.70 for those. Yeah, I like that order. Well, both of them are decent for this name. And here's the setup in light. You got, again, hot name, but you got some interesting consolidation. You got some chop here, some sideways activity. Again, two ways you could play it. If you were day trading, you day traded, it's over with, whatever the case may be. But if you didn't buy it on Friday, you could possibly wait for some weakness. You could see that's been the pattern here. So in other words, if this thing doesn't go Monday morning, wait, see how it trades. You get some weakness, you can look for an entry there. This would be a prime candidate to see if they come and hit it again, but it's so rare. Sweepers are so rare in this name. It's possible, but I don't even know if it's worth waiting on that. The action is worthy of a trade already, is what I'm saying, and it's rare for this to catch sweepers as it is. So keep an eye on it early next week. You can get some weakness too, especially. I know without a doubt if there's weakness, I'm going to be eyeing it early next week. Hopefully they do come back again. Okay, but a decent setup. I know quite a few of you follow this name. It's been a hot name. And you got some consolidation here. So this is what I'm talking about, guys, about the underbelly. These are not your FANG names catching flow here. Okay, we're done with that list. We'll keep going. Here's another little tech name, Veon, V-E-O-N. These were Jan calls, $4 calls. This is a $4 stock. But had some interesting action Friday. I don't know much about it. Yeah, it's a $4 stock. This is what the daily looks like. Telecom services. So yeah, this was rare. You never see action in this name. They came quite aggressively after some Jan $4 calls. I don't know what they could be up to. Play on the group, play on just the name, but really unusual activity in this thing. So if you're into these small cap, micro cap names, there's one for you. Here's a biotech, Baker Brothers special. You guys know I love that INCY off action. This one haven't really followed as much. SGEN, and was red on Friday. This does look like a play possibly on some data or something. You biotech gurus out there probably know a lot more about it. That's all I know. It's a Baker Brothers play. Here was the order. You guys might have seen me post it on Twitter. Non-sweeper, but a buyer, opening buyer of 1,900 September, 75 calls. They paid $250. So decent size. The stock is a little under 62, so quite a bit out of the money, and it's got a little bit of time. I don't know if they're expecting any data, so. But it is a biotech. Make sure you know what you have at risk with these things, even though they've been scorching. UPS, this is just repeat buying. This was one of the buyers from Friday. They could have been even possibly rolling up. UPS July 112 calls, paid $1.25. This is 1.2 million. Again, could be rolling up. What I mean by that in English, there's been a ton of buying in UPS, so some of those positions are profitable. They push those positions up and strike and pocket some money. This is another name I traded on Friday. Had some chatter come in as well. So there was a lot of heat in this name and quite a bit of buying. Let me scroll, you can see. Yeah, Friday morning was incredible. It's just one of those incredible mornings. You could see this thing just exploded. The daily looks like this. Oh, there we go. Big consolidation, and then the buying has started to heat up. And a little bit of a pull here last couple of days. And then Friday, some more activity. But the buying did start a bit cheaper in this. The reason I got this consolidation here, FedEx, which caught a ton of activity throughout this consolidation, hasn't been down since. I mean, this every time I look, this thing's up. What an animal this FedEx turned into. And they have July calls still open here. I think it was the July 195s, the July 205s, and the July 200s that they started buying and then throughout this consolidation here. So UPS, the action was hot Friday. I wouldn't recommend chasing there. Pullbacks again. This is not initial activity. Here's your Friday before the bell biotech special. Anybody know this? Cara? It was already up when the action came in. But you could see, I don't have volume here. You can see the reaction it had to that bet. Hold on. So Cara, they buy 1,500 plus July 25 calls. $200,000 bet, but for this name is decent. Came in a little bit before 3:30 when the stock was 21.85. Yeah, right here. You could see, I mean, look at the volume. Actually, came in right here, and then the volume started to swell. So a big reaction, but like I said, it was up. Closed up almost $3. So I promised you guys some biotechs. This Cara was an interesting bet before the bell. And then you had Thursday. This name was up Friday. LXRX caught some really aggressive activity right before the bell. I thought there was something going on Friday. I mean, the way they came after this thing for this name. But Thursday, it was actually into weakness. They really came after some calls there. So I had a nice day, up about 60 cents, and that was off the highs. What was the high? So, almost $18. Now, you guys know, I mean, the biotech's just incredible. INCY, huge move. Here's the INCY. You guys, I was talking to a couple of guys before we started the webinar. It's like they have a remote control with this name. They really have been incredible. Every time they play this name, they've made money. They hit weeklies here, if you guys remember, and caught this move. Okay. Then, they hit weeklies here and caught this move. Then they rolled out to September's. Okay, then you had this move. Then it comes back in. They hit September's again. And now caught fire. So this has just been incredible. But even some of the big guys, we spoke about the Gilead, even though I never trade this name, but the action got hot there. The Celgenes, the Amgens, all had some sweeper activity. A lot of momentum. IBB, they were a little late to the party, but I think they bought on, was it this day or this day? And still caught some massive upside. So a lot of heat in the biotechs. Should be interesting next week. See how they play. Do they take a breather? Do we see more flow? Some of the smaller names like this Halo caught some flow. Been a lot of action there. Did we finish the list off here? And then you have this STZ. This was an October sweep. I just want to make sure. Look at Open Interest Monday. There was some size activity around this, but at STZ you have an October 195 sweeper there. A pretty decent wood too, 400 grand. All right, so that's some of the action Friday. Like I said, it's just been the end of the week was incredible. You know, you guys are in love. I love this name too. Win a pair of December sweepers, good-looking sweepers there. You have some time there. December, obviously, but they've been money in this thing. There was September call sweepers recently into this dip. They nailed the lows on this thing. Win. Now you got some December sweepers into this. Was it this or this? One of these 2 days. A pair of them. All right, let me get to a couple of names you guys are eyeing, and then we could talk a little bit about the overall marketing stuff. Hold on. Names you guys have questions on and so forth. All right, let me start from, I apologize, I'm going to start from recent to first. That's the only way I know to go with this, but yeah, Avgo had some call activity, but James, there's been some put selling activity in Avgo. So some bullish activity there, definitely. You know, Avgo, it's again one of those names that has caught activity for such a long time, even before being Broadcom, has always had good-looking activity. But the most recent activity that's caught my eye was some opening put selling. So in other words, what they're saying is, if the stock comes in, they want it, okay, which is extremely bullish, okay, but that's how they're playing it. Jordan, UPS, as I mentioned, the flow started a bit earlier than where it is here, so you would try to utilize down days for entries on that UPS if you're looking for more. Again, the flow's been incredible. The flow's been incredible. There's been news, though, too. There's chatter around UPS. So all that flow, I guess, was for a reason. But I would utilize, like I said, I would utilize down days to look for entries and try not to chase there. But the flow's been solid. NVIDIA BABA. BABA, the size in BABA has been jaw-dropping. Okay, jaw-dropping. The issue with BABA is everybody's bullish. You know what I mean? Everybody's bullish. They just, that quarter they had was ridiculous. So everybody's bullish BABA, and the flow's been bullish BABA. You know, I think the opportunity that we've been focusing on in the steam room has been flow into BABA weakness. And I think that's been the trade per se. You know, as far as bigger picture, it's tough to get any sort of read as far as an edge is concerned because it's just all bullish, you know. So it's a tough call here. Not that it's a tough call. It's bullish, okay, but everybody's bullish, so it's a little different. JD has actually been, I would say, the better name, only because, not that the flow's been larger in size, but relative to the type of flow it usually catches, they've been going bananas on this JD. You know, JD, I mean, and you talk about size, they just rolled out, because they've been playing this thing for a while, Jan, September's, you're talking about monstrosities here. Let's see. Here's the JD. So JD, look at this here on 6/15. Okay, September 900 grand. September sweeper $1 million. September 40s another $1 million. September 40s 300 grand, and then some small Julys. You know, then you got here too, Julys 375. But I mean, look at all this action on 6/15. And that's into weakness, you know? This is 615, by the way. And look at all that size. Now, listen, granted, some of that stuff is being pushed out. This has been a name you could see. You guys heard mention it when we started the Saturday Sweep Series. They were loading up on JD back here in this box. So you had some big profits here. So a lot of that September action, not all of it, but a piece of it is some rolling out of these positions. Just giving it more time, you know? But look at this move in JD. Right off eyes here. NVIDIA, I don't know if you were here last week, Anchor. NVIDIA, for me, NVIDIA, there's no edge in NVIDIA. There's too many hands in there right now. You got the whole retail crowd playing in NVIDIA. There's no edge there. The only thing I would possibly look at is if, you know, the stock's down, catches some action, and you're looking to make a play there. I don't really want to fool with NVIDIA at all. The whole retail crowd's looking at it. So I don't want to be anywhere near there. Not to say, I'm not saying it's going to tank. I'm just saying there's no edge there. You know, there's too many eyeballs on it. What else we got? Amazon, same thing. Mike, Amazon's gone. You know, I mean, now, what am I going to do with Amazon? We had, you guys probably know, Amazon sweepers into this pullback, some good-looking sweeps. We had Amazon sweepers before the Whole Foods takeout. They scored. So now, yeah, this is what I mean with some of this stuff. You know, granted, Amazon could go higher. Okay, but that doesn't mean the flow is going to provide you an edge. You know, who's going to tell you Amazon looks bad right now? Is somebody going to tell you Amazon looks bad? You know, so for me, the only thing I use that I feel I have an edge in this game is based off sweeper activity. I don't use anything else. You know, I'm not trading on charts or anything like that. So there's just no edge in Amazon right now. The flow has been bullish. You got paid off the flow, and now this is all gravy. Gregory saying Halo got approval. Oh, is that what happened? Yeah, there was some smaller unusual activity in that Halo. I think about a week or two ago. Jim, yeah, the AMLP and the AMJ, I think, are both MLP ETFs, aren't they? I could be mistaken. No, here, yeah, MLP, and the other one's AMLP, which is an MLP. Yeah, they're both MLP ETFs. You know, listen, energy's been tough. They, believe it or not, they nailed the lows in these two names a while back. This was like around the Bazooka Joe lows back in 2016. That end of correction there was huge put selling, and then they came in and tattooed the calls. You know, but here there was some size buying in both of them. So we'll see. I mean, the way I would play it now, I would wait if there's some sort of breather. Maybe they come back, test lows again, and they come to buy it again. Then that's the way I would play it if you're not in it already. You know, even if it doesn't come lower, even if it's just a little breather here, and you see action come in again, that's the only way I would play it right now. And if not, you know, nothing you could do. Would you recommend selling puts at strike calls? Gregory's asking about selling puts in PANW. Me personally, Greg, I don't recommend selling puts to anybody. Lucci actually does that well, okay? And he's got a whole strategy for that. He actually sells premium on the call side as well. For me, I can't recommend it because you better know what you're doing if you're selling premium, because you can really get destroyed. Okay, it's easy to collect premium when things are going well. If you don't know how to unravel a trade when it's going against you, you will be knocked out of this game so quick, your head will spin. So that's why I don't necessarily recommend that strategy, because I don't do it myself and I'm not familiar enough to recommend it to others. Like I said, if you have a strategy already and you're familiar with that strategy, then you would know better than me, Greg. You would know better than me. I could just, again, based on my experience with the flow, I could just give you an idea of what I expect out of the equity, and that's what we do. I see order flow come in. I share my commentary and my feelings on that order flow in what it may do for the stock, and then everybody makes their own decisions on how they want to play it. If you think selling puts is the best way to go, and you're familiar with doing that, you've done that in the past, then that's totally fine. But that's why I don't necessarily recommend that particular strategy, or doing anything. I just explain what my interpretation of that order flow was. Jim is saying higher lows, higher highs in WDC. WDC is an animal. I really do think this WDC. I try not to get too excited with these things because I'm not even swing trading them. So I don't want to get members excited, and I'm not even in it. But I really do think this thing hasn't exploded yet. It hasn't had that boom. I'm trying to think of other names like this. SWKS didn't have it and then had the boom. I remember saying the same thing about this back here when it would catch a ton of action. Now the action's been quiet there, but finally had that boom. Micron had the boom. So that's my feeling on WDC. It's been a steady mover. Just hasn't gone boom yet, and maybe that's coming. Who knows? What else we got? Hold on, I lost somebody here. Bear with me. I saw Jordan. You had a question. I lost you though. CLF, Robert. There's been some flow. There was a little bit of flow Friday, but I wouldn't say anything significant, but there's been some bull flow in CLF. There's definitely been some bull flow. It's of the cheaper variety, similar to AKS. Even if there's volume, the premiums are so cheap that it's really not a lot of dollar amount, but there's definitely been some bull flow there. Grub, that actually had an interesting sweep a couple days ago. I don't know if that's why you're asking, Robert. I actually day traded it. Was a small under the radar type sweep, but one I really liked, and had an explosion that day, and it looks good. Looks good. But to answer your question, I think it was Thursday, so it might have been. I think it might have been this day here. Caught a sweeper early morning and had a big move off it. That had to be that day. Could it be this day? Could it? I don't know. Anyway, a little bit cheaper than where it is now. There was a good-looking sweeper in the grub. Another name that's had some decent-looking flow, you guys probably heard me mention, is this Etsy, and look at it go. There was some solid September activity there. See, that's the good thing. Like, if you're a swing trader, okay, and you're looking, there's so many different types of traders that's where I find it hard or most difficult to explain to everybody, because it's not, you can't blanket a statement for everyone. There's trades. Like, for example, I know a ton of traders that I've traded around that if they buy something down 60 cents and tomorrow that thing's up 60 cents, that's a trade in their eyes. And then there are traders I know who take positions. They try to isolate a certain amount of a certain number of positions throughout the year, and they want to give, a decent leash to. They want to let move. So in other words, they're not looking to take that quick profit off the table because they're looking for more, but they have enough time. That's where I think if you're that type of trader, you need to focus on the stuff that has time behind the bet. You have to. You can't take that approach with, in my opinion, monthlies or weeklies. You get into trouble doing that. You're looking for big reward type plays. That's totally fine. Just be realistic about it and give yourself enough time. This Etsy was one of them. They were playing September's, what was it, a month or two ago, around there. And, this thing's really starting to heat up now. It could have been a nice winner. Let's see what else we got. Faye, I'll tell you this. The flow in Faye has looked a lot better, Patrick. There's been some action. There's been some, let me see, anything hit the board in Faye? There's been some smaller activity. I know a couple people traded it the other day. There was some action. 531. No, these expired. These were into, they actually had a hit on these. They made some money into somebody's earnings. I forgot who it was. 630. Yeah, see, small stuff. Patrick, I would say bullish, but light. Light. Small size. Gregory's asking, do you provide your day trade ideas to your subscribers? Well, basically, here's how it goes. Who is it? Gregory. All right. Basically, we all come in. I get on pre-market. I go over some open interest, some names to keep an eye on. We go over sentiment stuff, okay? And then I'm on audio, video. So this would show a picture of my charts I'm looking at, names I'm looking at, as the flow's coming in with audio. And I'm talking about the action all throughout the day. So I'm not necessarily screaming out, buy XYZ, sell XYZ, Gregory, because there are so many different traders that it'd be foolish to do that. We're trying to figure out the best approach as far as signals are concerned, or even if it can be done. We're still trying to evaluate that. But what I do is, I said, what I do is, if I see action come into CRM, okay, I'll give my commentary as far as what I expect off that activity. So I'll be like, that's really aggressive activity in this CRM. I think we could get some movement right now. So that would mean, obviously, I'm trying to day trade it. Or action comes into CRM and I'd be like, yeah, this CRM is really aggressive activity, swing trade worthy as well. That's the type of stuff I do. So I'm not saying buy XYZ at so-and-so, sell XYZ as, at so-and-so. I think that would be foolish anyway for me to scream that out throughout the day. With so many different traders, you got to understand, Greg, and just everybody in general, there's this strategy, okay, what we do, there's not one certain style of trading that this can be helpful for, that you can find use out of. You could use it solely for sentiment purposes. So you can be an ES trader, okay, and trade off it. I'll give you an example, a perfect example. We were all talking about it. This is what made Friday morning so beautiful, okay? Because we all had our hands involved in the room. Friday, the market opened up weak, okay? Coming into Friday, we were set up sentiment-wise, especially as far as tech is concerned, okay? So in simple English, we felt that there was a high probability of tech names getting squeezed in simple English, okay? So that was our plan coming into Friday. That's what we spoke about. So Friday, the bell rings, you got some weakness out of the gate, right? You got the market selling here early. This is what we see. Oh, that's not what we see. So now look on the right of your screen. Okay, this is what we see into that weakness. All right, so you guys see that there? What happened? No audio. Oh, hold on. You guys lost audio or no? Oh, all right. Somebody said they lost audio. That's why I apologize. I thought I was talking to myself. All right, so let me go over this. Again, I just want to give you guys an idea of, again, it's not a stock picking system. It's far from that. It's the total opposite of that. When you use it as a stock picking system or service, that's when I think you're not getting the full potential out of, the way I use it. So you got this selling coming in early morning, and you can see the flow here, green, 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 green. And not only that, it was the type of activity we were seeing, okay? We saw, again, the WDC, okay, that name that we like to trade. Aggressive activity come into that. Aggressive activity come into UPS. Aggressive activity come into SFM, which has been a hot name. That's Sanders Farms, whatever the hell the name is, this thing. Sprout Farmers. I can't even get the symbols right. Okay, so it was the type of action we were seeing, and everything set up sentiment-wise, okay? So that told us we were looking for strength, okay? Whether you own the names that are catching flow, if you like the setups, that's according to you, okay? If you were making a play on the overall market, that's up to you. Okay, and there's other little things that you'll realize too that make a big deal. We saw this guy right here, SVXY. Okay, that was, if for those of you who are unaware of what SVXY, that's the opposite of UVXY. All right, so this guy is betting on the call side of weeklies that expire the same day on this SVXI at 1012. Those are the type of orders we look for on an intraday basis that tell us that's it. The selling's done. Rally coming. VXX put sweepers into weakness, that sort of thing. So the point I'm trying to make is when you see that type of flow, any trader can benefit off that. We talk about the individual names. We talk about the action, the order flow, and individual names all the time because that's what everybody wants to hear. That's, I guess, the sexy part, right? The big bets and the aggressive bets. But there's not one way to use this information. There's traders in the room trading ES, futures, trading SPY, trading FANG names when they have activity. Only high beta names when they have activity. We have equity traders. We have options traders. Like I said, I'm day trading equity. I'm not even trading the options. That should tell you a lot right there. Yeah, so, and a lot of people have the wrong impression that it's basically just a mechanical stock picking service. You see activity in you see somebody buy Netflix, that means you have to buy Netflix right now and tail that order. No, no, no. No. And when that stuff is used in addition to what you feel comfortable and what you look at, that's when I think light bulbs go off. Like all the traders in the room that find success and a good amount of it off the flow, that's what they do. Whether they're day trading or swing trading. They have certain things, certain setups, certain ways they feel comfortable with, and they use that aggressive activity, that aggressive flow that's coming in throughout the day as confirmation. So there could be flow in 6 names before there's one flow alert that confirms what you were looking at and what you need. And I try to, it's hard to do it in one session, in one webinar, exactly the whole ball of wax and what we do, but, I just try to stress it's far from a stock picking service, far from it. And, you guys can do it as well, even in the free community, to try it out. I mean, if price is an issue, as far as, the steam roof, if you're unsure, about, and the price is something you're not comfortable with yet, because you're trying to get a feel. I mean, we offer several ways for you guys to get a feel. I mean, one way, first of all, we offer half off the first month, okay, if you want to give that a shot. All right, you get everything included in that, and it's 50% off the $225. If not, you could join the free community, and at least you'll get a feel, a taste of, what the activity and how you can possibly use it in accordance to your trading style. Or if you want to, again, get a feel, we offer a private Twitter feed that we now solely have spun off by itself, for a lot more affordable, $60, $59.99. You're only going to get the Twitter feed, obviously. You're not going to get access to the room. But you can still get a feel for the flow. This is what the Twitter feed looks like. I basically post open interest stuff, some post-market stuff, and the bulk of it's just, the alerts. So, that's the best way to get a feel. I would recommend you all get into the lounge area. Again, there's no obligation there, credit card or anything like that. You can have access to this room. You can communicate with all of us. Some of the pre-market broadcast, post-market broadcast is open to everybody. You get access to this market update section where you'll see me break down the flow and some sentiment stuff, put the call stuff, open interest. But that's the best way to get a feel. And it's a matter of, if you're coming in with a style, okay, if you're coming in with a trading style, I think it's going to be a lot easier, and I think you'll find value and an edge in this. If you're not coming in with a trading style that you feel comfortable with, and basically you want to start fresh, right? You want to discover. And listen, that's how I discovered this. It's a lot of traders go through it. I was lost in space. You guys have no idea. I tried everything, you name it, I tried it, okay? And not to say that I lost money, but I couldn't find any consistency. I knew I didn't have an edge, and I knew that I wasn't going to make any money consistently with what I was doing. And I stepped onto this kind of accidentally. I was introduced to flow from unusual options activity. And just by digging into that, I realized trading off unusual options activity is useless. But I discovered something else within that a lot of people would tend to ignore. So, I would say my point of that is don't feel ashamed if you don't have a trading style. It's not impossible to discover one, but you have to keep your eyes open, your ears open, and look around at new things and find a way you feel comfortable. Find something you feel comfortable. Find something that you can manage your risk properly. Because if your risk is not managed, it's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time. And what you got to understand more importantly is that you don't have to get hit over the head and lose all your money while trying to find it. Don't listen to people that tell you have to blow up every account. You don't have to. You don't have to. Play nice and easy. Why would you focus on trying to make large sums of money when you don't even have an approach yet? You're not even comfortable in an approach yet. So that's another thing too. I think traders, there's no patience. They come in and if something doesn't work within the first week, this doesn't work. Forget it. And they go look for something else. This strategy is not going to work. And on the other side of the spectrum, they come in. I see it all in the room all the time. Some new subscribers come in, okay, on a day like Friday, and they think they're going to get rich because Friday was incredible. They think they just hit the lotto, that every day is going to be Friday. So they think, I'm a member for life, forget it. But again, that's going to change. And then people come in on a dead day or on a day things aren't working out as we would like, and they shove it aside immediately. There's the in-between. You know what I mean? There's the in-between. You got to have patience. It takes time. But, like I said, if you have a strategy, I think you'll find value, a lot of value in this intel. I think if you don't have a strategy that you're comfortable with already, it's possible, but it's going to take time. And you should know that already. You may not want to hear that, but no, Jordan, we are not using unusual options activity. No. Unusual options activity, basically, okay, is you see unusual volume come into a name and you tail that order, right? Is that your interpretation of it or what? What's the definition of unusual, that strategy? Well, what is it? Tell me. Like, for example, what am I missing? I mean, that's it. That's how I was introduced to it. You see an unusual order come into a name, and that would be the order you tail. Okay? So, what's unusual about a 250 lot sweeper in Amazon? What's unusual about a 500 lot buyer of December calls in Wynn? Is that unusual? That's not unusual. You understand? That's not unusual volume. There's 500 lots of Wynn going off all day long. So, again, what we tend to focus on, it's that same word over and over. I try to say aggressive activity. That's the ultimate goal of what we're trying to find. Where the pros are being most aggressive in buying. Okay? Some may be in unusual names, some may not, right? Some may be in a name like an ILG, some may be in a name like Facebook. But that's generally what we try to focus on, okay? And there's multiple ways of playing off that. We know it can create momentum, so you can trade off that momentum. Okay, so if you're a short-term trader, you could take advantage of that. If you're a position trader who looks to build positions, like I was a broker, I would build positions, decent sized positions for clients in a name. So I would be looking for aggressive accumulation as far as flow in a name, and that would be a name that I would build a position in. So, but the key word is aggressive. That's the key word. You know, there are 500 lot orders going off in Facebook all day long. Okay, but there may be a 500 lot deep in the money sweeper that catches my attention. There's a big difference. There's a big difference. What else? Anybody have any questions or anything like that? Matt saying, oh no, that's from earlier. You see what I mean? I'm reading questions before the webinar even started here. I go backwards. I think that, yeah, the first month, Jim, they could get 50% off the first month. That's what it has listed there. Oh, they change it because sometimes they have specials here and there. But you can even hit up the Lucci gang to email them, see what they got going on. Sweepers, yes, that's an aggressive order. Sweepers are an aggressive order. Like I said, you could go to wallstreetjesus.com and that strategy section, get an idea. Can you comment? Who wrote that? Can I comment? Let me see. Oh, can you comment? Tesla. Tesla is going to $800. I don't know. I think Tesla is going higher. There's some flow there, but they're trading. I mean, you know, they're trading. We see weekly sweepers Friday morning. Yesterday morning, we saw some weekly sweepers coming in. They were buying the 385s when the stock was red. You know, there's flow all over, but like a lot of these names, guys, I know you love these names, but as a swing trader, you really got to pick and choose your spots. If you're not in them already, there's not, in other words, is there a swing trade in Tesla every day? Can you just come in and buy Tesla every day for a swing trade? Does that really sound like a good strategy to you? Does that sound like an edge to you? That's what I mean, Jim. You know, I don't know. Maybe you can help me out. I don't know what to tell you guys on some of these names. You know, I'm being honest. They're bullish. The flow has been bullish. There's just no edge. There's no edge. Now, if we get a pullback in Tesla and we catch a nice good-looking sweeper into that pullback, I'll be singing a different tune, Amir. You understand? Example, Amazon. I was telling you guys the same thing. Okay? Then this happened. Then sweepers happened. Amazon was worth a trade. You understand? It was worth the trade. Netflix. Okay? Same thing. No edge. The flow's been bullish. Then this happened. Then we saw that December in the money guy who really caught my eye. Some smaller weekly sweepers here and there. It was worth a trade. That's the stuff I look for, guys. That's what I'm looking for. You know, when up here now, Amazon, here's my point. If Amazon was worth the trade down into this weakness off the flow, you want me to tell you Amazon's worth a trade up here? Now off the flow? 50, 60 points higher, whatever the hell it is? I can't do it. I can't do it. If there's a little bit of a pullback, Yeah, in a week, nevertheless. It's tough, guys. I know you like to trade the names. Now, the same thing with day trading. If you day trade the FANG names, there's not going to be opportunities every day. There's not going to be them. When you see sweeper activity come into Facebook, Apple, and sweepers are running hot, that's a good indication that there's momentum in those names those days. You understand? If there's no sweeper activity, that might be a day you might want to stay away from them. Yeah, maybe they can run and go higher that day, but more than not, if sweepers aren't around, there's not much momentum. That's a day trade. But every day, you can't treat every day the same. You can't think to yourself, I'm going to come in and trade Amazon or FANG every single day, especially as a swing trader. Can't buy Amazon every day. It's a cuckoo. All right, did I miss anybody? I always miss people. Merck. Anchor's asking about Merck. Merck has had some flow, no doubt. Hold on. Merck. Where am I? Oh, here I am. Yeah, there's been some flow there for a bit back. Well, here's some of the recent flow. This was weekly, smaller. August, 67.5 in Merck. 67.5. Where was the stock, though? The stock was 63 and change. See, the stock is 2.5, 3 points higher now. That's the problem. You know what I mean, Anchor? There was some action 615. That's over here. Right here. So that's my point I was making to whoever I was talking about. If Merck was a playoff flow here, you can't say Merck is a playoff any action up here. This thing's been up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 straight days. Time to wait for a breather. You don't get it, but time to wait for a breather. Russell saying, sorry for the novice question, but when you say sweeper, do you mean high order flow on the bull side in level 2 and time of sales? No, Russell, go to wallstreetjesus.com, the strategy section, and you'll get an in-depth explanation. In simple English, sweeper is an aggressive buyer in the options market. Jordan saying, I'm still in Lennar. Do you think housing market will rebound this summer? I have no idea what the housing market's going to do. I know Lennar had some leap activity as well as some of the other action. And I think it most likely is Bill Miller who's getting involved, because I heard him say he's buying the home builders, and that's his type of activity. Anyway, though, I think normal pull, you had a nice little push higher. I would wait to see if action comes in again, if I'm looking to buy it. I don't know what month you're holding on to as far as you're still holding. But if you're holding on to those leaps, yeah, I would leave it alone. Yeah, Yelp, Jim, Yelp has been a decent day trade for me quite a few times of late. But the action's been there, right? This thing caught some sweeper activity, then looked like it was ready to roll over and caught some activity again. This Yelp looks interesting. Definitely has had the flow behind it. And it goes into that whole group right now. You know what I mean? Grub caught sweeper activity. Look, it looks healthy. Look at this thing. The Etsy's on fire. What's Square been doing? Oh, man. This thing's getting ready too, isn't it? They all look dangerous to me. They really do. They look angry. They look angry. But yeah, I think Yelp would fall into that category, Jim. You know, how about the Solars, by the way? That was another group I forgot to mention to you guys. You guys know what went on there? This CSIQ exploded. Exploded off activity. First Solar, cuckoo. How about this one? I didn't even think this thing can move the way it did. SPWR. Look at the action in this thing. So SPWR, yeah, right here, 619. They come in, they sweep September calls. Stock was 774 at the time. And then they buy December's, so they hit two different lines, September and December, in this SPWR. I think it was a top open interest position too. What was the date I said there? That wasn't that long ago. That was 19th, a couple days ago, right here. Boop. And there was some more action Friday. Next week. Oh, those are in the money. Smaller. But anyway, this thing already exploded. But the CSIQ too, big time action. They actually rolled some late week. Look at the action in this thing. Right. Oop, slow down. 621. You had a July sweeper and an August sweeper. Then 622, a ton of orders. So again, I look at the stock, 1386.14. So right around $14 they hit the CSIQ. Yeah, so right here into that on this day. Closed strong too. That day, I remember it closed really strong. And then you had two follow-through days there. So that's, you know, again, guys, I mean, the market's dead. Sometimes that it creates better opportunities for us traders. All kidding aside, when the volume's low, sometimes you get these crazy moves. Crazy. And if you're an options player, you want to be a part of that. You know? If you're a day trader like myself, day trading equity, you want to be a part of that. You don't worry about the volume. The lower the volume, the better. These things can fly. And that's what I think you're getting. And I'll tell you one thing. If tech accelerates out of here, you're going to have a lot of chase going on. You're going to have a lot of people chasing. A lot. Everyone's thinking dead summer, tech, pullback. They're probably rotating out of tech. If this tech gets loose here, oh, forget it. You got people chasing. No one's in. No one's in tech. All right, guys. I could sit here talking market all day long, but unfortunately, I got a wife. Nah, I'm just kidding. But let me wrap it up here. I appreciate you guys coming out, spending the Saturday. I hope you all enjoy your weekend. Like I said, you guys have any questions, hit me or Lucci up, Twitter, email, whatever the case may be. You know where to find us. Go to wallstreetjesus.com, and all you guys, like I always say, should be in the lounge, the free lounge, no matter what. All right. I hope to see you there. Jim, always a pleasure, buddy. Enjoy your weekend. The Yankees are coming for you. War Robots, be good. Have a good weekend, everybody. I'll talk to you early in the week.